Welcome back to Media Trip, everybody. This is Jason Triplett, and as many of you may have seen by now, a possible teaser poster for Star Wars Episode 9 has leaked out on the internet, and it has drawn response from across the net, including from some of the stars of the film. Mark Hamill, for example, thinks that it's fake, while a few of the other stars think that it might be real. And while there is definitely some confirmed things in here from Episode 9, it is as of yet unclear if this is the poster art. Now, if you're looking at it, you can see that it lines up, along the same lines of the way that Star Wars posters have been made recently. And let's just go over some of these details here, because that's what we're really here to talk about. Should this be real? It reveals a few things about the movie, or confirms them at any rate. Ties in with a few other spoiler leaks that have come out in the past. I should note that this poster made the rounds to Making Star Wars, which has a very good reputation when it comes to leaks. Take that with a grain of salt. Let's take a look at it, though, and we're going to start with the top right. And of course, you see the three ships. Looks like an X-Wing, A-Wing, and a Y-Wing. Just below that, you see Chewbacca standing next to this new confirmed character that many people had once thought to be Lando's daughter. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it pretty much looks like it's going to be Lando's daughter. Not because she's black, thank you very much, but it's the cape. The cape gives it away to me. I think that is a trait that could be passed from father to daughter, and could very well explain Billy Dee Williams' cameo-like appearance as Lando Calrissian in the film. So, of course, Chewbacca standing there next to her. Now, we don't see her weapon, which I've seen her use like a bow and arrow crossbow type thingy in some production stills. But anyways, just below that, you have Poe Dameron in what looks to be some kind of undercover infiltration type gear. It doesn't look like your standard rebel fare, doesn't look like a flight suit or anything a soldier might wear unless they were going undercover in hostile territory. Not sure who this character next to him is with the helmet. It reminds me of the Mandalorian helmets from Knights of the Old Republic. So, I don't know. Some of y'all might know who this character is. I don't. You also see another spoiler thing right here next to her, confirmed BB-8 having a new droid friend, and it kind of looks like the little Pixar light in the little Pixar logo or whatever. Moving right along, below that now you've got Star Destroyers and some TIE Fighters, and it looks like what might possibly be Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter, or new TIE Fighter at any rate, because it does look different from the one he flew in before, at least from this angle. And right next to them are, of course, some of the First Order stormtroopers in their standard white and black fare. Now, along the bottom here shows the First Order stormtroopers in red. The helmet, at least it could just be the angle of the guy in the front, but it almost looks like the eye ports are slightly smaller, and it's most likely the angle there. I'm not even sure that we're going to see red stormtroopers in the film. This could just be a piece of symbolism or something similar to that. Moving right along, you see some more Imperial ships on the other side. It looks like a capital ship, as well as a couple more TIE Fighters. Of course, Kylo Ren and Rey being the centerpiece of this, so let's not even forget them, but I mean, what's the point of going over them? They're the two main characters of the film. So right next to Kylo Ren, right above his trademark blade, we have the Knights of Ren. which we had seen teased in The Force Awakens, and they had a whole backstory to them, and they were absent during The Last Jedi. Now, granted, The Last Jedi takes place over just a matter of hours, so, there's a good reason why they might not have shown up. There was a lot more at play with Kylo Ren personally, that he didn't believe he needed his, elite fighters or whatever they are to him. So above the Knights of Ren, we see the Millennium Falcon streaking by, and various spoilers have talked about the Falcon. I've talked about the Falcon in one of my previous videos, wondering if somehow Lando might be reunited with the Falcon, especially after the events of Solo, and that we know Lando's personal connection to the ship now. Hard to say, because they're saying that Lando's appearance is going to be small, so who knows. I would love to see the ship go home to its original owner now that Han is passed. Now here's where this gets interesting. So some strange alien thing over here next to Finn, who is in a very rebel-like outfit. He looks like he is wearing more of less of like a soldier gear and more of like the everyday wear for a rebel. He's holding his blaster ready for action, and he definitely looks up to the task. But right next to him, this is where this gets really weird. You can see just a couple of things wrong with C-3PO here. First of all, he's wearing Chewbacca's bandolier and carrying his bowcaster. Now, this is weird for a couple of reasons, and that being because C-3PO is a pacifist, or, wuss. He's fraidy cat. He's not the man of action, so to speak. That belongs to his counterpart, R2-D2. So it's confusing why he would be holding these. Now, I have two theories on this. And one of them, it links back to a previous Star Wars video, which I'm going to link this at the end of the video so you can check it out. But it's the video pondering what is going to happen with Lando and Chewbacca in the movie. And in that video, I had wondered if Chewbacca might die. Now that his life debt is settled with Han, it does seem like he is lacking a purpose. And he seems to just be latching on to the Alliance, more specifically to Rey, but he doesn't really have this solid life debt pulling him in a single direction. This leads me to believe that Chewie himself may make a grand sacrifice, or he may go after Kylo Ren for revenge and pay the price. So there's that. The other theory is that 3PO is merely delivering the weapons to, some of the fighters, which would be Chewbacca, and if you look, it looks like C-3PO is also carrying Rey's staff on his back. So this is kind of what brought me to this theory, in that he may be bringing these weapons to fighters in need, being Rey and Chewie, who might have been disarmed in some way, and he's just delivering them. Because, who knows, maybe we'll finally get to see C-3PO have some action rather than be a fraidy cat, but I'm not going to count on that too much. One thing to note about Kylo Ren is his mask has been repaired. You can see the damage to the mask, and you can see that it is now back on his head. So this also confirmed another leak, should this be true anyways. And then if you look above, you see Rey wearing a slightly different Jedi outfit from before. She has that sure, solid look in her eye, like she knows what to do, and she is holding a lightsaber that should be broken. So that just goes into another leak out there that had said Rey repairs that lightsaber. And then up in the very top corner, the very last thing is another X-Wing shooting off into the distance. This one it looks black, and it's hard to tell because the picture is so low resolution, but that could be Poe Dameron's X-Wing versus the one you see to your right, which has the red. And you know what? That might not even be an X-Wing. The red and the silver, that might be one of the variants or one of the similar ships. It's escaping me for the moment. But anyways, that's the poster. That's how you have it. And it's missing a few things. For one, I mean, it's missing Leia, and her role is said to be pretty huge in this movie, even though they did repurpose old footage. At the same time, it is said to be cohesive within the story arc. So to not have her on there is kind of mysterious. And you also don't see anything about Luke, even though, of course, we know he's in the film, and he's going to be probably a Force ghost. You don't happen to see, anything at all about the original two characters of the classic trilogy. So it's kind of interesting that they would leave those out. You also don't see Lando, which that's probably going to be that moment like in Force Awakens when Han and Chewie walk onto the Falcon and they're like, we're home. That's probably going to be the Lando moment in this. I mean, I really don't know, because at this point, the second film in this trilogy threw everything for such a loop, and while it may not all actually be as it seemed to us, like there's probably an underlying, narrative that we're not catching because of the way that Abrams is going to finish this. It may actually make The Last Jedi a red herring, in which case it is even more brilliant. I'm sorry, guys, I have not hidden the fact that I like that movie. I'm not going to apologize for it. I really don't care. I think that it turning everything on its head was at that point what the series needed. There's too much of this, going along with the status quo in movie series today, and it really, it kills long-running series. It just does. It happens to TV series too. It's, jumping the shark. And while some people may think that The Last Jedi was jumping the shark, I actually tend to disagree, just because I think that the brilliance of the narration, it's going to have some resonant, staying power after this next film, because I have a feeling that Abrams is going to make some of those events that were really questionable, he's going to make them make sense. And while everybody thinks that Luke was given a raw deal, and that's one of the reasons why everybody hates it, he could be redeemed because we were shown a Yoda that could manipulate things outside of the Force, even though he was a Force ghost. So this could also mean that Luke could now potentially do the same thing, since he is of the Skywalker lineage, which is unusually high in the Force. The one thing that comes into question is Rey's lineage, because even though Kylo said it, it doesn't necessarily make it true. And you could say, well, she's, she could probably tell if he was lying or not. Well, maybe not, because if she's fledgling and she's just had her powers awakened, she doesn't know what the hell's going on. She doesn't, it's like getting all these signals coming at you at once, and you don't know how to control them, you don't know how to read them, you don't understand, and the only person in the entire galaxy that can tell you what's going on just wants you to go away. It might be pretty easy to trick or fool or lie to a person in this state. I mean, it's just, come on now, Palpatine hid from the entire Jedi Order the fact that he was the Sith Lord. Now, I'm not comparing Rey to Palpatine, because Palpatine was epic beyond words, in my opinion. One of the greatest villains in any movie series. Sorry guys, but his subversive nature really, really set the tone for what I consider one of the greatest sci-fi sagas of all time. But now let's say for a moment that Rey, everybody calls her, the Mary Sue. It's just a Force awakening. She's got a lot of power. She's got Anakin-like power, but she doesn't know how to focus it. She'd been using it in a way like Anakin had on Tatooine when he was a boy. Using it, with Anakin, he used it to stay alive during pod racing, for example, or be an exceptionally good pilot, or be able to repair things exceptionally well. Just little bits of intuition here and there, and little things and pieces along the way. Now, granted, hers are accelerating, but that could just be because of Kylo Ren, and then the Force manifesting itself in Rey. But this is just a theory, and while it does go along with the theme of this new trilogy, there's no telling where this will take us. So take this all with a grain of salt, and I hope that you guys will come into this movie with an open mind, and let's just hope that this does turn it around for Star Wars, because at this point, the only thing I can hope for is more films. And there's always going to be haters, there's always going to be critics. I don't really care about that. I just want more Star Wars content, and I want it to keep coming. And who knows, maybe George Lucas will come back and direct a Star Wars movie one day. A lot of people that used to hate and trash on George Lucas are begging him to come back now, so I find that absolutely hilarious. And the prequels, which were once heavily bagged on, are now almost cult classic status among the internet community, even spawning their own memes, which have been hilarious and lifted Obi-Wan onto a pedestal. But that being said, I still believe there's potential with this last film, the last numbered film, at least for now, because a Star Wars X down the road could be possible. But let's just hope that Abrams brings some oomph to it and closes any loopholes that were left behind by the last film. In the meantime, we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to try to report back anything that we can find. And we want you to stay tuned here. Come back. Check us out. Post new videos all the time. I want you to hit that like button. Subscribe. Tick the notification bell so you can be notified when we go live or when I upload a new video here. As always, I want to thank you guys for all of your continued support. Come back and see us real soon right here on Media Trip.